they were going through in every single scenario and the overall approach to the game. Otherwise, a lot of players did just play, and they had great aim, or in this game, I'm really confident, so I'll play very aggressive. In this other game, yeah, I'm not so sure about this game, so I'll play a bit more passive. They were the ones where every game they came in with, like, this is how Quake should be played. This is my philosophy, and I'm going to play the game as an expression of that philosophy.
It's that's really always been one of the reasons why I was very much a fan. I think that's where everyone, I think you kind of summed it up very well, where everyone kind of was drawn to his game style, but the game's underway. I can't really add to that any more than agreeing with you.
Because that's perfectly appropriate.
There we go. Already gienon's put to 1 point of health in the first 12 seconds of the match as he receives a rail there after riskily taking that red under the nose of the Russian superstar. And red is coming up again.
And this really is one of the homes of Cooler and ZTN.
Those rockets, though, those were absolutely incredible. That actually gave gienon a stack advantage. However, they are both extremely low, and they're going to have to back away. And this is always very interesting now, because they both need to get
Look at this. Cooler doesn't choose to go for that health. He goes straight to the red armor.
He reads.
I think gienon didn't know how much health he had there. He's given up red and mega when he could have contested both, basically.
And it's perhaps one of the hardest skills to really hone is reading the stack of your opponent.
Well, I think Cooler sort of mind-gamed in there by going for those rails over and over, because it made him think, first of all, Cooler goes for rail after rail, even though he's actually only down to like 15 or 19 health or something. Then he rushes past all the health that you know is in that yellow area and goes straight for the red. So it makes your opponent think, well, you know, he wouldn't do this if he was on such low health. I can hit him with one rail or one rocket, you know, and he's dead.
It seems to work out as far as the implications here. Yeah, gienon's 100 armor behind Cooler, almost. It's going to be more than that soon enough. 200. Well, he was almost at 200. He does get the mega now. So Cooler's more or less in a position where he wants to get the kill. Going to go for the read. The prediction pays off.
Oh, he tries a rocket though in midair.
Those rockets kind of save gienon momentarily, and that really damages Cooler's stack. And then he messes up the rocket jump there. So not a very smooth transition out of that kill. But Cooler still does have an advantage and enough of a stack to kind of impose himself, impose his will on gienon, and Mega's coming up.
Yeah, he's coming very early though.
Oh, this is really bad for gienon. The plasma yellow is the one that has spawned, and he's hanging around at the rocket launch. It does go down. That's pretty much a free frag for Cooler.
And Cooler knows where he is. He was on the stairs there.
Yeah, it's almost too obvious for Cooler right now, and he's even going to pick up this yellow. So that yellow was up for a good 40 seconds. And that was basically had gienon's name on it, but he didn't.
No, he picked the wrong one.
Yeah.
The problem here as well is that he's actually been winning the aim fights between the two of them. Actually, Cooler's the aims look surprisingly a little bit sloppy in so far in all the engagements, but
yeah, execution not so great.
On one hand, either you can say Cooler's made some genius moves where the guy didn't expect where he'd be, or gienon's just like not being able to read the situation and understand which armors are available for him at that time. Because obviously there's always going to be the one yellow at least you're going to be able to have a chance to take in. And so far, like maybe twice in a row, he's picked the wrong one.
Yeah, and you can see it reflected on this forward.
I mean, if you look, that's not like super duper LG from Cooler there, but it's enough to get the job done if you're constantly having a better stack like that.
Yeah, exactly. Gienon really needs to slow this down. This is best of one as well, and he needs to find a way to slow this down. And the thing is that he's picking wrong situations repeatedly. That was a great attempt. He was like, okay, I know exactly where Mega is. I know if I can get a good engagement. I've been out executing Cooler in the fights. It's just been the stack that's been the problem. So if I can pick up a Mega mid-fight, I'll still have a slightly worse stack, but at the very least, I'll be able to get a lot of damage in and have the next Mega time, which can be in a really effective play to throw a frag away to do so much damage to your opponent that it then enables you to challenge again very soon afterwards. However, it didn't really work out, and he's going to be playing with a slight stack deficit again over this Mega. The rail unable to save him there, and Cooler will just take him down once
And the thing is, of all the maps where you don't want to be playing versus Cooler with a stack, it's ZTN, because this is obviously a map that's very famous where when you have the control of the map, you don't ever have to engage. You can just run around forever and just keep getting the items and force them to make bad engagements. And that's actually plays into Cooler's hands, because that's Cooler's style of play. Yeah, I'll just wait for this kill before I go any further.
He is a great control player, that's absolutely concerned.
Well, the thing is, someone described it like this, okay? In chess, there's two sorts of players. There's the positional player and the tactical player. Now, the positional player, he tries to just always have the better position on the other guy and make as few mistakes as possible, knowing that if he does that, the opponent will make more mistakes, and then he'll win as a result of that. That's Cooler's style of play. He just tries to run the armors, and then every now and then he might create a little bit of pressure, but otherwise, if he has the lead, he's happy to keep running the game, and you have to force a bad fight. Whereas a tactical player is someone who tries to actually create chaotic scenarios, knowing that he will make better decisions in those scenarios. And so what you see is a tactical player might be someone like maybe an Avec, or there's maybe even elements of that to Rafa's game. And so instead, Cooler has the other mentality. And so the problem is, once you even let him get a slight lead, he's so good at running the map like that and so good at just cutting down his mistakes that then you have to do something really crazy, something totally off the wall to get back in the game.
Actually, you know, it's very interesting because last weekend we had a final between Pony and Agent. And actually, we kind of gave a lot of criticism towards Pony because he very much embodied the 100% tactical player. Like he wasn't really thinking about position or overall like item cycling. It didn't seem like it was really a priority for him. However, when you look at Agent, he's completely the opposite. And through that, Agent kind of ended up losing because he kept assuming that Pony would take these decisions that to him make sense. And you could see that mind process kind of happening. And as a result, Pony would just keep catching him off guard, which in Agent's mind, it's like, wow, this is a really stupid decision that you're making. However, that's how Pony plays the game. And in actual fact, you know, by him not understanding how to adapt in that sense, he in fact was being, in a sense, outsmarted by himself.
This is why Cooler used to get so mad at people like Strengths if they ever beat him, okay? Because to him, he's thinking to himself, like, that's unfair. Like, if you'd have done the correct move, then I'd have done the even better move and I'd have beaten you, okay? So it's like you beat me by making the wrong move, and yet it paid off for you. So that's why he gets so frustrated, because he feels like, you know, I did the right thing and the game didn't reward me, you know. You did something stupid, but then you hit 4 rails in a row, or you made an amazing LG shot, and you get to win as a result. So that doesn't feel fair to him. Whereas you notice, whenever Cooler played Rafa, now you didn't see any BM, you didn't see any trash talk, because if he lost, he knew, like, okay, I was beaten strategically, I was beaten the way I think the game should be played, he just outplayed me, and so he would give respect then, you know.
And it's also the element of, it's very much a poker thing as well, in a sense, because it's that concept where every single situation has a percentage that it works. So Cooler is you know, making these plays, for example, in this example against Strengths. Let's say, you know, Strengths makes a play that's a 10% play, and so that's why Cooler go, oh, this is stupid. You shouldn't play the game this way, and in the long term you're going to be a losing player. And
that's true as well. It isn't as good a strategy in the long term. But if you want to win one map, then it might be the way to go, you know, versus that sort of player.
But yeah, exactly. Then you end up like losing to that, and you're like, oh my god, you just won by happily taking this, and not even like going, okay, I need to take this incredibly risky play, and I normally wouldn't do this. It's like, no, you just do it without kind of realizing it's so risky, and I think that is absolutely raging to play against sometimes. But yeah, it's very interesting. It is very interesting.
I mean, the reason we haven't been talking so much about this game at the moment is there hasn't been that much to talk about at the moment. Cole's just rolling him, basically.
Yeah, since the very start of the game, he's been pretty much, as you said, in the position. Okay, this is a perfect engagement. So, you know, he couldn't really hope for something better than that. His efficiency to which he dealt damage there was incredible. Could have returned almost nothing and lost maybe 200 resources. There goes around 250 roundabouts, and he has almost nothing left now. So let's see.
So you notice how he's not even taking the item now. He's just going to stay alive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point. He will just stay alive now. That's what Cooler's objective is. He's like, okay, stay alive. Probably thinking about, let's get back up to.
I mean, it's already essentially impossible to lose anyway, but he's just thinking like, okay, I'll make sure that even that 0.1% can't happen either. The other thing as well is there's even an element to Cooler, right, where he's one of those guys where he doesn't even want to let you get a frag so that you can even believe you can beat him, you know. It's just like, oh, I want to beat you completely, you know. Like, I totally owned you in this game. You didn't even have a chance. You didn't even make engagement, so you beat me. Like, I mean, this is the best of one, unfortunately. So this is like the last time these two will play.
Yeah. And Cooler actually, if I'm... How did it work out with the brackets? I believe he will end up playing... Yeah, he should be playing Pavel if Pavel can beat Sodis. Sodis is actually a really good Danish player.
Okay.
So, I mean, you never know what can happen with Pavel because sometimes, you know, stuff happens to Pavel. I don't understand. Because Pavel's another one of those players where if you watch Pavel when he's playing his best, you're like, why isn't this guy winning more? Because it's like quite clear that he gets it in all the right areas of the game, and he hasn't got terrible execution by any means. He's got some of the best rockets in European Quake, in Russian Quake. He's got some of those rockets for sure. So I don't know what it is about.
Well, the problem is, if you look at the history of Russian Quake, aside from Kula, it's filled with these guys where the talent level is off the charts. They win like an Aces Cup or something like that. They have a tournament where they do really awesome. But in general, their consistency's always been really lacking. And a lot of how they played was kind of a style where maybe it's based on feel or just a sense of what you should do now, as opposed to this sort of, like what I was describing before, with Kula, it's almost like an overarching philosophy that he's already mapped out of how I should play the game, and so it only follows what he should do next each time.
Yeah.
Whereas with some of these players, when the feel isn't there, then suddenly they're just all over the place. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. It definitely does feel like that. So there you go. Kula, he does handily defeat gienon. It wasn't really much of a challenge. I mean, pretty much if you want to look at that game.
I mean, it was by the book, wasn't it? Because the thing was, it wasn't that Kula was like having exceptional team fighting or anything. He was just outthinking him at all times, just running very simple patterns.
Game. Just right off, like first 10 seconds, he already got a stack advantage, and then from then on, that stack advantage meant that he never let go of the map until he kind of, in the last minute or so, just kind of lost patience and just was.
And the thing is, when you play Kula like that, when you get opportunities, you can't just like overlook some of them. You actually have to go headlong into them. That's why the people who can beat Kula were people like sometimes Strengths, someone like an Avec, someone like a Cypher, because when they get that opportunity, they just go like, they go ham, they go 100% into it, and they push that so hard that it breaks open the game and gives them an opportunity there. Whereas if you just like look at it and go, nah, I don't really know what I'm going to do that situation, pull back, then you might not get another chance for 5 minutes versus Kula.
Yeah, it's very true. Kula is, I mean, it's not like, this is actually another thing with Pony as well that we saw last weekend. It was something where you could see him playing in control, and it's like, okay, well, if he's playing in control, it's actually not as bad. It's not as hard for you to get control back. That's not really the problem. Okay. He's going to basically make his frags when you think that you have an advantage, because he does such crazy moves, and his fighting abilities are just off the wall, like it's crazy.
I mean, he sounds comparable to an Avec then, in the way that you're describing him now.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think you could go with that. I think Avec perhaps had a, yeah, maybe. We'll probably see Pony playing, so you can see.
Because the thing with Avec was, what made him amazing was he could just brute force his way back into control seemingly any time, because his actual duel skills were incredible, and his ability to pressure. And so he didn't need the same stack as you. He'd do a crazy move, and then he'd go so deep into it and just hit every single shot that then suddenly he'd be back in control. And so it meant that even your control game couldn't be as solid against him, because you were even worried about giving any little opportunity for him to get back in.
And I actually have a question to pose to you. But we'll go to a quick break first, then we'll come back into the next game, which should be Sodis versus Pavel. The winner will play against Kula, so that's pretty awesome. So we'll see you very soon for that.